Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and start, and it is Thursday, August 22nd, 2019. We are meeting for a Truth in Taxation hearing, and we want to welcome all of you who are here. We appreciate you being here and expressing your ideas and opinions. You do need to sign up on the public input role, which is just at the back if you haven't, and you would like to speak. We'll go ahead and begin with roll call. We'll start with you, Larry.
Larry Jepson, board member.
Randall Bagley, board member.
Steve Norton, superintendent.
Roger Pulsifer, board member.
Kathy Christensen, board member.
Chris Corcoran, board member.
Jeff Nielsen, board member.
Terry Rhodes, board member.
And Dale Hanson, business administrator.
Okay, thank you. All right, and we will go ahead with a short presentation on an introduction to the proposed property tax increase by our business manager, Dale Hanson.
Yeah, I'll just turn it right here then. Okay, for tonight, I just wanted to take a moment and.
Is that coming over the system? Have you got a microphone? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah, is that on? Okay. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. Just wanted to review some things about the property tax process and the reasoning behind the board's proposal to have a property tax increase today. And so I just wanted to start out and I know some individuals have kind of felt like property tax was the main funding mechanism for schools. And so I just wanted to illustrate here that this is showing last year that property taxes made up 25% of the total revenue in the school district. The largest contributor here is in state taxes that we receive. Majority of that is coming from personal income taxes that are dedicated to education in the state. We get 6% in other local revenue, which would be investment earnings. It might be lunch ticket sales, student fees that are assessed, those types of things. And then federal dollars are made up 7% of our total revenue. And so with property taxes in the state, or in our school district itself, this is a 6-year history showing the tax rate that we have levied each year and how the rates have been broken down in each of the different categories. So you can see that 6 years ago in the 2014 calendar year, our tax rate was a 006808, so 7808. And so that's the index that's applied against the taxable value of your property when they determine how much property tax is assessed against you just for the school district's portion of the property taxes. We have constantly, well actually in 15-16 is when we had a bond sale as we were building these 2 new high schools. It was actually the second half of the funding that we needed to build all of those buildings that were on task, where we built 2 new high schools, one in Green Canyon, one in Millville, and then a new elementary out in Lewiston. That was a major part of what we were funding then. And then in the 16-17 year is when Ridgeline High School was actually opened up. And as part of the, well, as far as the operational costs of running a new high school, it was intended all along that we would increase the board local levy in property taxes to cover that increased cost of running a high school because they're very expensive to operate. So we opened Ridgeline in 2016, Green Canyon in 2017, and then and you can see there that then in 2018 that the property tax rate actually went down from a 81.38 to a 78.39. And actually the property tax rate that is being proposed by the school board for this year is down at a 77.33. So that rate keeps coming down. To understand how that works is they have what they call the certified tax rate. So that there's, of the properties that we have in the county, we'll set a budget as to what we need to collect in property taxes, and that will determine a rate as to what rate we have to then assess across the property to bring in that total amount. And comparing one year to the next, you are guaranteed, well, I should say you can levy the same amount of tax dollars as you received the prior year, and so in some districts the value of the property may be going down, and so as the property goes down, the size of the pie that they have to levy taxes around gets smaller, and so each home becomes a greater portion of the total. So property taxes would have to go up to generate in total that same number of dollars. In other districts, values have increased, and so the rate has to come down so that still over the total the same number of dollars are received. And that's why these tax rates have been going down, because we've experienced significant growth in our taxable property here in the county the last few years. Last year alone, I think it went up 12%, and so it's been really good as far as the economy here in the valley itself. And so the thing I wanted to show, and I'll come back to this in just a minute, is that, so then if you looked at a $300,000 residential property, which is the average value of property here in Cache County, the taxes that they would have paid I think these years are actually wrong, but so last year, which HIS is showing as 2019, that would really be 2018. So the tax rate that the district levied was a 0.007839. So they would have paid $1,293 in property taxes for the school district's portion of their levy. And if that same property then for this new year is taxed at the proposed rate of the 0.7733, the taxes would actually go down $17.50 to $1,275.95. So for many taxpayers here in the valley, their taxes are actually going to go down as far as what taxes the district are assessing, but that's only if their assessed value is the same last year as what it is for this year. There are a couple things with the assessed value of property. One is the market value of property might be $300,000, but personal or residential, your primary residential property and land is given a 45% exemption. So you're taxed at 45 or at 55% of the market value of your property. So for example, a $300,000 home would be taxed at a value of $165,000. So that's an automatic help that it does provide in the tax law structure. If you had a second home or rental property or a business property, all of those are taxed at 100% of the market value. So there's a benefit given to help homeowners in the property taxes they pay. Where was it going to go? Now I lost my train of thought here. Okay, I'm going to move on here. So one of the main reason I think many of you came tonight is because of this notice that you got in the mail. So this here is a piece of property out in Hyde Park, and it's pretty tough to read. So this property, you'll notice on your statement, up in the top right-hand corner, it'll show the last review date. And so state law requires that properties in the state be reassessed at least once every 5 years. And so it's the county assessor's responsibility to go out and determine the market value of the properties in our county. And so they do say that if there is a lot of new construction or if there's a lot of sale or turnover of homes, that the reappraisal can be done more often than just once every 5 years. And I think the county pretty much does that about once every 3 years. So in essence, I think for the majority, a third of the properties in the county are reappraised every year and adjusted to try to bring them back up to market value of some type. And so to look at that, for example, on this property here, this is residential land and building, and it'll show that for last year, the market value of that home and property was $322,000. And then the taxable value of that, being at 55% of that value, was $177,000. This agricultural land it's not greenbelt. It's because it's not producing as farmers as farmland, but so it's actually taxed at 100%, and that's why the taxable value is the same as the market value on that. But this property was reappraised by the county this year, and so where last year that home was valued at $222,000, they bumped it up to $322,000. Now it's bumped up to $385,000. So it's an 18% increase in the market value of the property, and so the taxable value, that would be at $212,000. So if everything else was held constant, the property taxes on this home, just by that reappraisal, would automatically be increased 18%. And so quite often when people see a large increase in their taxes from one year to the next, this is the main reason why those taxes have changed, is because the market value of their home in comparison to others in the county has become now a greater portion of the total, because those values have gone up. So it's really that nothing the school district has any control over, or the cities or the county that are assessing property tax, or that are levying property taxes. It's the responsibility of the county assessor's office to try to keep these values more in line with market value. And then down here on your statement below, you will see a number of items. First over here is the taxing entity. So there are a number of entities that levy property taxes against your property in addition to the school district. So for example, here there's 2 different assessments made by the county itself. Well, actually 4, I guess. There's a health fund, a general fund. I'm not sure what the multi-county assessment is. The other, some districts will have, or they'll have city taxes that will be assessed against the property, and then there are other things such as a mosquito abatement or a cemetery district. that are all funded through property taxes. So this one here did have a cemetery tax, has Hyde Park City tax, and mosquito abatement tax. So each of those are levying taxes in addition to what the school district portion is. And if they are experiencing an increase, that'll be shown over on the right-hand side, showing when their public hearing will be held. And so it will show here, for example, the tax rate that was levied. Well, it doesn't actually show the last week's. Well, right here is the 2018 tax dollar amount that was paid last year in each of those categories. And then it'll show that if none of these entities pursued a tax increase, but everything just stayed constant, the taxes on here would actually go up. I need to put my eyes on here. I left them over there. I can't read this stuff. Anyway, can I? Thank you, Mike. Anyway, so last year the property was assessed $2,279 in property taxes, and again, because of the increased appraisal of the property, the taxes on that would go up to $2,439. And then there were 4 different entities here that were considering property tax increases, and that if all of those were formally approved and moved ahead with, the taxes here on this property would go up to $2,615, which is 7.2% increase in those taxes. So that'll help you get an idea as to what or how the value of property taxes is actually calculated. So outside of any reappraisals, which we have no control over, the district is pursuing a property tax increase. And the reason for the increase is that years ago the legislature created a program to help districts that struggle to generate revenues through local property taxes. For example, Cache County School District right now is either the 4th or the 5th lowest district in the state as far as the amount of taxable property per student that they can levy taxes against. So it's difficult for us to generate taxes as compared to, say, Park City, who actually has 10 times the amount of taxable property per student to levy taxes against. So we can both levy the same tax increase as far as a tax rate increase, but Park City would generate 10 times the money, or the revenue per student with that increase than we would because of the small amount that we have. So seeing that disparity amongst districts, the legislature put together this program that was called the Voted Leeway Program. And what it was is if school districts would take it to the public in a public election or vote to raise their property taxes in this category called Voted Leeway, that the state would then come up and for every, let me get it back up here. So for every 0001 tax rate increment that we increased our property taxes as a voted leeway levy, they would guarantee that we would receive $44.98 per WPU, weighted pupil units, which in general terms is basically like a head count of the number of students we have in our district. So it's a way of guaranteeing we'd come up to kind of an average level of return on the tax levy that we assess as a county here. In 2001, we took it to, again, a vote of the people, and they brought the tax rate up to the full maximum amount that's allowed under the program, which is 16 increments of that 0003 or 0001 tax rate. So we would actually receive 16 times that guaranteed amount of $44.98. or we would receive then $719.68 per weighted pupil unit that we qualify for as a school district. As we go back and look at the tax rate then that we've been levying over the last few years, this it's now called the voted local levy. It started back here we actually brought the rate up to the legal maximum in the 2014 calendar year. And as the pie of the property, taxable property in the county has grown over time, the tax rate, it's called the certified tax rate, has come down, like it says, to try to only generate the same number of dollars that were collected the year before. And so you can see that rate went down from a 0016 to a 001557, down to 1524, down to 1461, 1345. And the program then said, all right, we'll give you up to 5 years that you can let that tax rate float down, and we'll still give you the guarantees as if you were levying the full 0016 tax rate. So they would give you the full guarantee on that for up to 5 years. So what that would mean then is that we were receiving basically the same dollars as before, but as that guarantee kept going up each year, we would receive more state subsidy to bring us up to that guaranteed amount of the $719 per student. And so we have now gone for 5 years, and we're down to the point where that rate, the new certified rate for that, would be actually a .001211. It's not here, I'm showing that we're proposing to bring it back up. But just to give you an idea then how this project this program has helped the school district, is they said if taxpayers are willing to make an effort to raise property taxes, they will assist us. So this last year, in property taxes under the voted leeway line item, we collected $7.2 million of local property taxes. But to bring us up to the guaranteed amount that was in the formula for last year, we received actually $9.3 million of additional state subsidy well, it would be through state income taxes. So really, we got far more than 100% return on our willingness to tax ourselves here in the county to assist and supplement the educational program here in the school district. So this is a real fortunate program for us to help us even try to compete with other districts who find themselves in a lot different situations, such as Park City or so. And so for this year, the guarantee, we have 23,920 WPUs that we estimate for this year. And at the guaranteed rate, we should be guaranteed $17.2 million in total revenue between property taxes and state subsidy. But if we do not raise the property tax here back up to the 0016 tax rate, now we'll no longer have that protection of being it considered the full 0016 tax rate. We would now only be equalized on 12 increments of that 0001. So we would only be getting $544 per WPU in total between local property taxes and state subsidy, or $13 million. So we would actually lose almost $4.2 million in revenue that we've had in the past at school districts if we did not bring the tax rate back up. So to give you an idea what the district and the school board's philosophy has been is that over these years, like we say in 2014, we were up at the full tax rate, And so on a $300,000 home, this line item alone would have been assessed a $264 tax bill, I guess, on that $300,000 home. And so that's what we would receive, was $264. And so the certified rate was also at the 0016 that year. So we would have paid the same amount either way. But then when the tax rate floated down the next year, instead of raising the property tax rate back up to the 0016, the board chose to let the rate float down. And so the taxes on that $300,000 house, instead of being $264, would actually be $257, which is a $7 saving. And each year that continued to go down because we've let it float, where instead of $264, it actually got down this last year where it was $222. So it was actually made a difference over that 5-year period of $85 that homeowners would pay less in property taxes because we chose to let that rate float down. But now the hard reality is that now we have to bring it back up to that rate, or we pay the piper. And so it was always kind of a philosophical question, is which would taxpayers prefer? Would they prefer to have the rate brought back up to the full amount every year so that any property tax increase each year is a small increase? Or do we wait and let that float down 5 years and then bring it back up, which in this case was, quite a bit larger increase? And that's probably the biggest question I think the school board has, is what would taxpayers prefer in that regard? And so, really, like we're saying, the assessed value of property is something that's completely out of our control. The real reason we're here tonight is because we need to restore the voted leeway levy back up to the 0016, or we would stand to lose $4.2 million in revenue to operate the school this year. And so, as you make comments to the board regarding the property tax rate, I would appreciate it if maybe you could express your opinion as to which you would feel would be the better approach. Would it be better to turn the heat up slowly each year so you really don't feel the increase as much each year? Or is it better to let you allow to be paying less property taxes each of those 5 years, but know that after that 5th year, you would have to bring the rate back up, and it would probably be a much larger increase, and it becomes far more noticeable because it's all happening at one time. So that's really what I had, unless there was any other comments.
Okay, anybody on the board have a comment? All right. We'll go ahead then and move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the public comment. And let me just go over the guidelines that we have. If you would like to speak tonight, you do need to sign in on the roll, which is back. Is it still back there, Dale? Is the public, is the
Sign-up sheet.
The sign-up sheet? Is it still at the back? Okay. All right, so then you need to sign up for that. We will have a timer going that you can see up here. You have 2 minutes to express your concerns or your support or your ideas. And just want to remind you that any personnel comments are prohibited. We ask that you be respectful in the way that you do present your comments. And if you could, before you talk, introduce yourself and let us know where you are from. That might be helpful for us as well. If you have any questions, we are here to listen, not to really discuss anything, but we'd like to get your name and your phone number, and then we'll give those questions to the district, and they can get information if it hasn't already been presented to you in a way that you would like, and they'll get back to you and answer those questions. Did I miss anything?
No, but I'm just wondering who has the timer. Do you have the timer?
Okay, we'll give you a minute to, thanks for the presentation, and I hope you did notice a couple of things in that presentation. One is that just 55% of the value, estimated value of your home is taxed. And also, what was the other one? Well, I can't remember what the other one was, but it makes a big deal.
The appraised value.
Oh, the appraised value of your homes go up about every 3 years, and we have nothing to do with that. That is done by the county. While he's getting that set up, I will just mention to you, too, a couple of days ago in the Herald Journal, there was an article called Know Your County Tax Relief Options, and I've made copies of that article if any of you are interested in it. And this is a process that you can go through with the county auditor's office and can maybe get some tax relief on your home if you fit into the category that could use the help. In 2018, Cache County awarded over $890,892 in property tax relief to approximately 840 qualifying residents. And what that basically means is that your taxes can be reduced if you qualify. Not everybody knows that, but the numbers and the places where you would need to make contact are in this article, so I'll have those up here. And after the meeting, if anybody's interested, you can come and get a copy of that. So, are we ready? Okay. All right, so where is the public input sheet now?
It's right there.
Right there. Okay.
She's gonna read the list. If you'd like to.
Okay.
And then if there's others would like to.
Yeah. All right. I'll just read the list and bring you up, and remember that you have 2 minutes to express your opinions. And if you will, okay, let's just go with, you introduce yourself and tell us your district, and I'll just write that down here. So we'll begin with, and I hope I pronounce these names correctly, Tony DeSandre? Yes. Okay, if you'll come to the microphone. We appreciate you being here today.
Thank you. You have to talk kind of close to that mic. Okay.
If you want to pull it out and get it right up to your mouth, that's fine too.
I'm pretty loud anyway. I'm an educator also. Tony DeSandre. I'm an educator. I'm from Hiram, Utah. I teach math. Ready to start the timer? Oh, it's going. All right. Oh, boy. So anyway, this is my concern. Yes, my taxes went up 18.4%. And with this additional increase, that does put an undue burden. But what I wanted to bring to your attention also is from 2018 to 2019, the actual tax rate went up an additional 0.00425. So there was an increase in taxes from the school district in addition to the levy. So my question to you is, and the administrator said the pie basically stays the same. So if the amount of money in the pie stays the same and it jumps up it'd be 0.180425, that would put a lot more additional money into that so-called pie that he was talking about. So why do you need an additional 8% out of me when my school district pays me an additional 2.5% raise every year? So for me, it just puts an undue burden that I don't feel is necessary. Thank you.
Okay, could I get your phone number, please?
435-245-5405.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Next is Marlon Wilson. Oh, he did? Okay. Thank you. Jill Wilson. Oh, okay. All right. Paul Borup. Hope I said that right.
And yeah, Paul Borp, I'm just waiting for the timer to reset so we can go. Okay, I'd like to, number one, thank Tony, I had a math class from him at Utah State. So because of him, I kind of know how math works, and I have a pretty good idea about how county taxes work as well. Just want to point out a few things. That the school district in Cache County brings in almost 4 times more tax money than the rest of the county combined to run the sheriff's office, to run the health department, to put roads out there, to run everything else in the county. The school district's bringing in 4 times more money than the county is. And you're asking for almost 2.5 times more money again this year than the county is to run the rest of the entire county and all the services that we provide. That seems to be pretty egregious, and in all this talk about certified tax rates and things, I'd just like to answer to one question. Each year as you've gone on, has the school district had a bigger budget each year? And if you do not do this tax increase, because of the increase in property taxes, will the school district actually have less money next year? It's a pretty important point. You can talk all you want to about rates, but between the rates and the fact that property taxes are going up, the school district, I believe, is pretty well funded. Now, you can compare us to Park City, but there's a limited amount of money, and the tax burden is starting to get pretty egregious. And especially at the state level, if you roll it all in, the amount of money that each citizen pays that goes to education in the state of Utah is getting on to be 3 out of 4. 3/4 of every dollar is going to education. At some point in time, you have to say, the rest of us are tightening our budget. I think the school district could do the same thing.
Could I get your phone number, please?
435-999-4154.
Thank you. Neil Murray.
Hi, my name is Neil Murray. I'm from North Logan. And when you hear truth in taxation, always makes me a little bit nervous, because when I've been talking with my neighbors about a lot of things having to do with these tax increases, and they've asked me to pass along some other truths that they would that concern them. About the increase in taxes, 25% of our incomes are going up in this county property tax alone. 60% of our total taxes are going to be dedicated for schools. One asked me that what they would like to see is a vote on these taxes that are proposed by you, like the bond elections are done. If we can do it on the bond elections, why can't we do the same thing with these taxes after they're proposed? The taxes are on us, and it's a lot of money in the hands of a very few people. And if you have the public involved, then I think you have a lot better attitude toward what's going on here. Let's see. Concern among our neighbors about the representation. It says that elected officials are supposed to represent their communities. You have the community right here, and I'll be willing to bet that there's a very great percent that's not going to want this tax increase. So how your representation to the community, how that's done, is going to be a telling tale tonight. The last thing, quick. They asked me to pass along a few things about how the district can cut some revenues. Cut income for travel training, do it by video conferencing. Cut the driver training program, let it be done by private means. Stop introducing new programs in the schools every year. 1 year math, 1 year science, 1 year math, 1 year reading. Keep the same programs for longer periods of time, and work towards being more creative in this process to cut costs and raise revenues. Thank you.
Could I get your phone number, please?
213-6543.
Thank you. Bruce Godrich.
guess this format is, my name's Bruce Godridge. This format is not to ask questions, right?
It's
Can
not
I
for
ask a
what?
question from Dell's presentation?
Yes.
So when you presented the first total of last year's budget with the levy, that was 7 million, right? And then this year it was going to increase to 17 million?
The
Is that
total
right?
between local property taxes and state subsidy would be the 17. I didn't break it out between what was property tax and what would be state subsidy on that comparison.
So that's a pretty significant increase then.
Just to clarify, I think that he's asking about, it's kind of apples and oranges, because he's asking about the levy versus the subsidy. So I think the first figure that he's citing does not include the subsidy, and the second does. Yeah. So the question is, what is the total, levy plus the state subsidy last year versus this next year?
Well, last year, total was 16.5 million. This year, it'd be 17.2 if we bring the property tax rate up to the 0016.
Thank you. That clarifies that.
Yeah.
I agree with a lot of the comments that have been said, but I hope you, as you look at property tax, I think everybody looks at every entity in the county or whatever, looks at property taxes, oh, we can just raise that. We can just raise that, because you can. And I just hope as elected officials, you will not only consider the students, which I think you all do, a lot of you are educators, but I think you need to also consider the taxpayers and kind of where we're putting our money and our investments and things like that, because I think you can tighten your belts. And I think to say, if we don't do this, then we're gonna lose all this money. I don't like that. I think there's a lot of programs in our state that function like that. Oh, if we don't do this, then they're not gonna pay us money. And I think we need to take a step back and just realize, hey, let's just take care of ourselves and not present programs and do things that just say, oh, we got to do this because we're going to drop below this and we won't have as much money. Let's just get what we need, not what we want. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I get your phone number as well, please? Which one? Oh, the best one for you.
Dental office.
I never answered.
Yeah.
5757
4388. Okay. Thanks, Bruce. All right. And Chris Nielsen.
I'm Chris Nilsson. I'm a realtor by profession. I'm also from Hiram. I'm born and raised there, love the south end of the valley. I have a lot of clients that can't afford increases. They can't afford what we already have. I had a client come the other day, bought their house 2 years ago for $187,000. Their new valuation on it's $300,000. The home was built in the late 1800s. It's never been complete, still doesn't have a kitchen. But somehow, the evaluation, because they kick in a number and here we go, that's what we get. But the question I'd like to ask the 9 of you is, the last school bond that passed, I didn't vote for it, but when does it expire? It's a 15-year bond. When does it expire?
Yep. The last sale, it actually was amortized over 17 years. And so, what is it? Can't do my math here in my head, but yeah, there'll be about 13 years left on that.
So do you realize the last bond we had was Mountain Crest? That's where I went. I've been out of school for over 30 years. The bond has never expired, and I want to know why. And I asked the county assessor about it, and the only answer she gave me is that they never expire. We find something else to use the money for. So I want to know, as a board, how we pose things to taxpayers to vote on, which is a lie, because you know it's never going to expire. And most people don't know that, but I want to know, and I got it straight from the horse's mouth, it doesn't expire. We find something else to use the money for. So if a bond 30 years ago never expired, why do we need a new bond? We should still have plenty of money out there somewhere. And I'd like to know where the money's going, because doesn't make sense to me.
Can I
I'd
get
like to
your-
answer that if I can, if it's all right, Kathy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, bonds do expire. When we sell a bond, it's for a fixed amount of time. Generally, we've been amortizing those over 17 years. And so the investors that bought our bonds, we pay them back off, and at the end of of each year, I mean, it depends, some will buy their bonds that pay off the first year, some the second year. Some will spread it out over the entire period, but they do expire. Occasionally, we will refund or reinvest, I shouldn't say reinvest, we'll refinance some of those bonds because interest rates have gone down, but we never do extend the final term of that bond itself. So we don't ever make them longer and have them be eternal. But we've sold a lot more bonds since Mountain Crest, and I'm sure Mountain Crest bond was paid out long ago. I think the oldest bond we have right now was issued in 2009. We just paid off the 2004 bond, I think, last year. So there isn't a fixed amount. And so when we go to a vote of the people, we tell them how much we need in authorization to sell bonds. And they're giving us the authority at that point to levy whatever taxes are necessary to pay those off within the parameters that we build there. But we've sold bonds quite a few times since Mountain Crest, with new elementary schools that we've purchased, new middle schools that we've constructed, the 2 new high schools that we've had. I think right now the oldest school we have in the district is Millville Elementary, and we've replaced a lot of school buildings that are quite a bit older than that. But so there, I don't know who from the county was telling you that they never expire.
Al.
Yeah, I don't know whether she just didn't understand the question or what, but they do have
I
a fixed
think she
life.
doesn't like me is the problem, because I'm not afraid to go talk to her. But
I don't know.
when she tells me it doesn't ever expire and they find something else to put the money into. 'Cause
The money is spent.
I told her up front, I said, I guarantee you, you know, with the last bond, my taxes went up $300. And I said, I can guarantee you when the 15-year bond for Mountain Crest, or whatever year it was, ended, I can guarantee my parents' taxes didn't drop by that amount. And she said, no, because we find something else to use the money for. We don't ever get rid of that money. And she's the lady in charge. So I'm just wondering, as a taxpayer and as a realtor, what do I tell my clients when they're mad about taxes and I don't know who to blame it on? Because, I mean, we elect a board here and hopefully we're served justice and not a lie, but from where I stand, I don't know who to believe anymore.
Could you give me your phone number, and we'll get back with answers?
Yeah, 435-757-5631.
Okay, thank you so much.
And my last question, I'm just wondering about the millions of acres of school trust property that we have in the state that's leased out to ranchers. Where does that money end up? And does that not somehow bring down what's needed by what's brought in?
I'll put that question on the list too,
Okay.
because there is a really fantastic answer that helps our schools so much. Otherwise, we'd be paying a lot more in taxes. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
That's it.
Okay. All right, that's all I have on the list. Is there anyone else who wanted to comment? I'm taking down the names and calling them. What would be should we put it on the website?
We could put them on the website.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they will be put on the
There'll be an answer
website?
on the website, yeah.
You
Come on
need
up
to
the
sign.
mic,
Whoop. Okay, so you need to. Holy cow. Hang on. I've created a paperclip disaster here. Wait a minute, wait a minute. There we go. Okay, you'll sign in. And then were you here to hear that you have 2 minutes? Yes. Okay. All right, so this is Mary Wilmore.
Yes,
Wilman?
I'm Mary Wellmon.
Wilmon.
We say it fast, Wellman.
Okay.
I am a realtor in Cache Valley. I live in North Logan. I'm probably not going to be popular for my comments here, but in the last number of years as being a realtor, I've been educated by my son-in-law, who is the city manager of Santa Clara City. So he explains all this to me, and most of us are not really truly interested in how the taxes are done. We're just upset when we get a tax increase. But for the education that I've learned about this, number one, it is an exceedingly difficult job to come up with a budget and to take care of new programs that are really essential. If we stay in the old place, we don't stay in the old place, we actually degrade down. And I feel very strongly about that. Yes, improvements are expensive. I do not like the fact, as a realtor, I sell homes at the best price I can get for my sellers. But guess what? I bought my home 6 years ago for $185,000. It now appraises today, I think, at $285,000. Woo! So my taxes have gone up. And now my clients, I've had a number of my clients call me up and go, oh my gosh, Mary, my appraisal on my home just went up drastically. What do I do about this? Well, we're not here to talk about appraisal values, which have all increased because the market is good. Bottom line, it's tough to balance progression. And so people can go to appeal the taxes. You know, my appraisal is too high, which brought my taxes up way high. But it's a tough education process. What I saw presented tonight made perfect sense to me, and my time is out, but it's a very, very difficult thing to balance, and it's necessary. But how do we control property values from going up? You know, so my taxes, yes, my taxes went up because my property values went up. Because guess what? I do too good of a job selling homes. I mean, that's sad.
Okay,
But
thank you.
Thank you.
Do
And
you
my
have
phone
any
number.
question that you would like?
No, I just kind of wanted to address that.
Thank you.
Like I say, I'm probably not popular for that those comments, but I understand there's way more to I can't afford to pay my taxes. You know, there's way more to it. And maybe there can be an agenda to educate the public a little more. I mean, look at how many people live in our valley, but whose little spit of people are here to learn?
Okay, thank you very
So,
much.
thank you. My
Appreciate
phone
your
number,
comments.
435-760-6700.
Say the last four.
6700.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you
you
very much.
for letting me address.
All right, is there anyone else who would like to respond? Okay. Thank you so much. We do appreciate you being here, and we do appreciate your comments. And we do take it very, very seriously when we need to raise taxes to educate our students here in Cache County. And so we do have an action item on the agenda, and I will take a motion to approve the 2019 property tax rate and the 2019-20 preliminary budget.
If no one wants to, I will make it. I propose that we approve the property tax rate for 2019 and the 2019-20 preliminary budget.
I second it.
Okay, are there any questions, comments?
Can I just make one comment?
Sure.
Just in deference to the great people of Cache County who bothered to show up tonight and to express their opinion. First of all, I just want to say as a board member, I represent Hyde Park and a little piece of North Logan in my precinct. But I just want to tell you, as a board, we really appreciate your taking an interest in this and spending the time to, you know, learn what Dale had to present and also to to comment in some cases. And I just want to tell you as a board member, I feel like I speak for the board in saying that we take these comments very seriously. As Mary also expressed, you know, we have a balance to strike. The valley's growing. We have a lot of kids to take care of and a lot of kids to educate. And I just want the public to know that I'm working with Superintendent Norton, Dale, and others in this district as a board member. They do more with less than any organization that I think I've observed. But your comments about making sure that there's no waste are noted. You know, that's what the board is about. It's about making sure that we interface the district with the public so that your funds are used as wisely as possible. But I just want to make sure that you understand that, you know, that we take this job very seriously before we proceed with the action.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone
And we are
else?
the same as you guys. We have property, we pay property taxes, and ours went up also, mainly because of property being appraised differently. And that's the way it's been, and it's going to continue that way.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote.
Randall, still don't have your vote?
It hasn't showed up yet.
No. Want me to just do it manually?
Yeah, do yes.
So all the votes are in and are unanimously in favor of the motion.
Okay, all right, so that is approved. We will get back to you with all of the questions that you had with information. Hopefully that will help you. Once again, if you want this article on how you can appeal your tax rate through the assessor's office or the auditor's office, this is up here. You can grab it. I'll be happy to bring it to you. Thanks to everyone. We really do appreciate you taking time to be here. It's hard for us to make this decision. And as Mr. Pulsifer expressed, we've all been saying our taxes went up too. So we understand that part of it as well. But we do thank you very much for supporting the education here in the Valley of our students. Our district does do a lot of great things with some of the, well, fourth from the bottom amount of money. And our kids are getting a great education and they're being successful in their lives, and that's what we really hope for. So does anyone have anything else?
Just ending comment. If any of the questions that you heard tonight, you don't have a good understanding and you'd like to come into my office or Dale's office or both of us, we'd be happy to spend time with you to explain, because it's a complicated system and we've been in it a long time, but we would gladly take the time to help you understand. I think you need to realize that we benefit from the state of Utah gathering income tax from all over the state and putting it in a pot and distributing it equitably out to school districts. If that system wasn't there, instead of being 70% funded from the state and 25 or 30% from the local taxes, it would be reversed. And your taxes would be much higher. So when we take advantage of a program that comes from the state that says if you'll levy $1, we'll give you $2, it's hard for us to pass that up. And I think people, if you sat down and explained to them that we would lose $4 million by not raising this up, and we'll let it float for 5 years as long as we can, but we're going to have to do this again in 5 years. But the benefit to everybody in this county is real, because the state has equalized. If we had to do it on our own, our teachers would be paid much less. We wouldn't have the 2 new high schools, I can promise you, because that money would have had to gone to something else just to run the maintenance and operation of the district. In the 24 years that I've been here, we had multiple facility problems when I got here. Buildings that were 80 years old and weren't safe for our kids to be in. And we've pretty much taken care of that because you people were willing to vote to increase taxes to do that. But we don't create the influx of kids, but we have to find a solution for them. So when you talk about there's a whole bunch of people moving in, we understand that, because we have to handle the kids that come with them. And for a district that doesn't have much market value behind it and is the #1 performing district in the state, I think it's a wise investment that we make in this valley to have the tax level that we do. And I would hope that you would come to understand that. And if you don't understand exactly how it works and you want to understand, I'd be happy to spend time with you. So thank you for coming.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we don't have anything else on the agenda, so this meeting is adjourned.